All right, everyone. Well, today was a little bit of a rough day. I actually started by going into the red. First two trades into the red, dug myself a little bit of a hole, and I was kind of nervous this might happen because it felt yesterday like momentum was really slow. In fact, yesterday was the first day where I didn't break over $10,000 in like a week. So relatively, it was a slower day. Now, it was still a nice green day yesterday. I was up $3,000, a little bit more than that, but it wasn't as hot as it had been. So I was a little cautious coming into today, and then boom, right away, trade one, trade two, I'm in the red, digging myself a hole. But I maintained composure. I didn't go too deep in the red, and I was able to rally back and finish the day in the green, which is solid. So we're going to break down the trades from today. I didn't end up breaking the daily goal, so I'm green, but not a big green day. So I'm not going to do a case study or turn today's trades into like a long class, but we're going to just do a standard recap for today, and we're going to go over the trades. And by the way, I want to thank you guys who tune into these episodes regularly, because your dedication to learning more about trading and improving your skills, I really admire it. So I hope you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. That way you'll get the notification when I go live. And we're going to go ahead and jump into our recap for today. Okay, so let's get started high level with where I'm finishing the day. Green on 5 stocks, red on 5 stocks. So accuracy today split 50-50 in terms of, the 10 stocks I traded. But fortunately, I am in the green, and that is because my average winners were a little bigger than my average losers, and my accuracy on each individual trade, I guess, was high enough. Now, it kind of looks like my accuracy was 50-50 today, but that wouldn't actually be the case if you looked at my accuracy on each trade. So if you looked at every trade I took, my accuracy will be higher. But based on the stocks I traded, I'm green on 5 and I'm red on 5. But obviously, I'm made a little bit more on the ones I made money on, and that's what puts me in the green. So why don't we start with, we'll just start chronologically with my first trades of the day, and that was this morning at 7 a.m. So the reason that I sat down pretty early this morning at 7 was because, well, this week I've been doing well sitting down at 7. I had some great trades on, I think it was Monday and then Tuesday. So then, yeah, right. So then now today I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep up that trend. But when I sat down was looking at my phone this morning at like 6:30, I noticed that we didn't have any really good gappers. So I was a little bit worried that we didn't have a lot that looked great. We did have SHIM. This one was gapping up. I don't remember what the percentage was now. But as I saw it here, it moved up after hours. So it was an after hours mover right here. And then that carried it into pre-market. So as we sort of came to 7 a.m., I was looking at it right here and I was thinking, all right, this could get us that squeeze back up to 350, the pre-market high. So my first trade of the day was on SHIM, and I jumped in it at 318. And, honestly, I don't really have a major problem with this trade. I think that I had the right idea. It was coming into 7 a.m. and I thought, this is a leading gapper, so let's pay attention to it. So I ended up getting in this right at 7 a.m., like right here. And I got in at $3.18, 5,000 shares. It pops up for a second and then starts dropping, and I was like, I got to get out. So I lost $86 on that, a little less than 2 cents a share. But of course, remember, I do pay a commission on that trade. So if we total out what the commission would have been on that trade, it's 5,000 shares times 0.003. So that would be $15 to buy, and then it's going to be another when I turn around and sell it, 15 to sell. So we're going to be at about $30 in fees just after that first trade. So you've got the $87 on red, but add another $30 in fees. So I'm already down 110, whatever. Doesn't matter. Again, it's not a big deal, but starting the day in the red. Okay, and then I noticed, wait a second. It's the reason this one's dropping is because ADTX is squeezing up. That's the one that's moving. I picked the wrong one for the open. So I had seen this one, but I didn't really think, I don't know. I didn't think that it was the one, but I was wrong. So this one I got in basically right at 7:26 up here. I got, sorry, 7:26, 7 a.m. at $3.26. And it immediately dropped down. This was right here at the open. Actually, I got in on this candle here. So I got in on this candle and I stopped out right here. And on that one, I lost $547. All right, so the loss on ADTX is a little bigger. Now, I'm down 547 on it. So you say, oh, I'm red on it, which is true. However, my accuracy on that was actually 50% because I had one winner and one loser. The loser was actually 800, and then I had a second trade where I made 300. So again, that's an example where accuracy looks like it's 0%, but it was actually, it was 50%. Okay, so it's fine. So anyway, so that was ADTX. Yeah, ADTX. So that was my second trade of the day. So now I'm down $800. So I'm like, this is, I mean, we're not moving in the right direction here, but let's just see what happens. And all of a sudden, LCFY comes out of left field, and this thing starts squeezing up. And I'm like, all right, well, I am familiar with this stock because why? We traded it last week. We had a great squeeze on it. So when I saw it starting to pop up, I was quick to jump on. In fact, I took a starter position on it. But what's really sad about the starter is that I only filled 268 shares. Ah, come on. 268 shares, it's not enough. So right here, it goes from 6 all the way up to 750. It hit a high here of 769. And I as soon as I hit my scanner, I tried to buy the break of 6. I got filled at 608, 268 shares. And then it squeezes up and I added at 675 for the break of 7. So got a trade from 675 up to 7. And then I added a little high on this at 645. Ended up hitting a high of 669 and took some profit. It drops back down. I did get a little dip trade here off of this pullback. You could see here that we got the move up, the pullback, first candle making new high, but it rejected. I took my profit quickly on that. So, I was grateful for that, but it wasn't, it unfortunately wasn't the squeeze all the way back to the highs that I was hoping for. So that was LCFY. And I don't remember actually how much I made on it on those first couple trades, but I did trade it again as the morning went on here. I peaked at about $3,000 of profit on LCFY, and then I gave back a little on this candle. Oops, whoa. This candle right here, I gave back a little on, and this one, I was like, nope, not going back in, and I'm glad because we got another flush and another rejection. Unfortunately, I don't know what the problem was, but it was just, you see this rejection candle, another one here. It was just selling. It was just selling off too hard. So that was kind of disappointing. By the way, I see SDST hitting the scans here. So this is on my running up scan. This one, you'll see I'm up $932 on it. Got a little profit. We'll talk about this one more in a second. It was a little hard to trade because it was so thin. So anyways, had a couple trades on LCFY. And then I took a position on ZAPP. ZAPP. LCFY was a continuation or sort of a daily setup. First daily candle to make a new high. So on ZAPP, I thought, oh, well, if this thing breaks through 1550 here, similar setup, daily candle breaking out. So even though it was light volume, it started to move up ever so slowly from 1490 to 15 to 1520. And I got in at 1523. And then I stopped out on that red candle right there. And I lost on my first trade $1,900. I ended up getting back in when it came back up right here, and I lost again another $300. So I lost on ZAPP twice, down $2,200 on it, and it is my biggest loser of the day. Now, because of when that trade happened, I went red about $800 for my first 2 trades, and then I recovered to green on LCFY, and then I took this loss on ZAPP, which brought me back down to slightly red on the day. So I went red to green, back to red, and then we had GDTC. Now, GDTC was really interesting. This stock, out of nowhere, pops up and rips from about $2.50 to $5. And then it comes all the way back down. Look at that drop. So I don't know what was going on with this morning, but when it started to squeeze, I was like, okay, it's moving. And what we've known is that in the last couple of weeks, when we get something that starts to squeeze, what's worked really well for me has been jumping on quickly and then adjusting my stop and riding the momentum as long as I can. So I jumped in this as it started squeezing up right here. Looks like there was a micro pullback at 3, which would have been a great entry. And that does a micro pullback at 4. So I actually added up here, kind of high in the move, goes all the way up to 5. I take some profit off at about 475 or 450. Then it drops down. I did a dip trade. It comes back up a smidge, goes lower. So I was like, oh, this isn't good. I got another dip trade down here, but it just didn't want to bounce. And then I kind of gave up on it. Now, it did end up, as you could see, coming back up a little bit more. I guess it was right in this area, but it just, it ended up retracing the whole move. So after that, I was like, this is not a good sign for the day. So fortunately, I was green on LCFY and I was green on GDTC, but, I was also red on these ones. VCNX, this was another one that hit the scan kind of similarly to GDTC, where it popped up and look at that, retraced the move immediately from 650 to 8 and back down. So definitely some red flags, some caution flags out on the play here. We're seeing stocks popping up and not holding. LPA is perhaps my biggest disappointment today. And the reason is because this is a stock that it made a really nice, impressive move yesterday. So it makes a big move yesterday. It goes from like $14 all the way up to 28, but it was thinly traded. Drops down, comes back up, sells off. So I got in as it came back up right here. And even though it made this big move, I wasn't able to make money on it. And the reason was because of the spreads. I was getting in a little too high. I was waiting for it to go higher and I was adding, and then I would stop out on one of these candles. So unfortunately, I was red on LPA, not by a lot, but $138. So red on 5 stocks today, and then a small trade on IVP. And the thing with IVP was that it was a similar setup to ZAP and a similar setup to LGFY, and it just couldn't go. I tried and it just couldn't go. So, well, I guess I made 100 on it, but that's a break-even trade for me. ASST, took a little scalp on that off the high-day Momo scanner. That popped up, dropped down. I took it on the second attempt here, but it couldn't hold that level either. And then we'll go to SDST. So SDST, I'm up $932 on. And so here's the problem today. If we look at my kind of track my P&L, and this will be 0. I started the day going down 80, down 800, and then, up slightly, and then back to, let's see, it's kind of, maybe it was a little bit more like that, and then back down here, and then back to green, and then all the way up to plus 2.3, 2,300. And then I dropped down to up 1,100. And I said at that point, this was around 11 a.m., I was like, guys, I think I should walk away here because I've been churning commissions all day trading. I went red, green, red, back to green. So yeah, I'm up 2,300. Well, I'm up, 1,100. But don't forget, I'm going to have fees and commissions. So it's really not that big of a green day. Can I afford to take the risk here? This is around 10 a.m. And I thought, I really don't think I can. I don't think I can take the risk. So I then took a long break, but I was here doing work. So I was doing some work, and then I see out of the corner of my eye, SDST halt up. So I'm like, okay, what are we working with here on this? It's a recent SPAC merger. I know that right away because it was trading at $10 for so long. The way SPAC mergers work is they trade at $10 a share, and you can buy into it at $10 a share. And then once the company merges, insiders can choose to cash out at 10 a share or be in the merged company. It's very common that you have some redemptions. The stock pops up on the news, and then it drops down. And that's also very common. But what you have to know is that all the insiders are in at $10 a share. Sometimes they trade a little higher if there's speculation of who the company's going to merge with, but it basically trades at $10 a share. So anything below 10, these people are red on their position, their investment. Above 10, they're green. So in this case here, once we broke above 10, we just ripped really quickly. But what's interesting is I didn't see any clear catalyst, and that's not uncommon with these, but it's also a blue sky setup. There's no resistance. So it's a blue sky setup. We've got a lot of potential. And what we got here was this first halt up. We opened and we dipped and ripped. So I got a trade on the dip and rip, and I bought 250 shares. I bought small size on my starter. I was like, let's just break the ice. It's small size. If I lose and whatever. It ends up rallying here all the way up to $20. It then halts up and it opens and flushes. I got filled at a false halt down at $16.79, 250 shares. It then bounces back up here to 21. It pulls back a little bit. And then I took this trade here for the break through the high. Small size, but with small size, we got some volatility. I did not trade beyond that. I took my profit here and I was done. Dropped down, popped up, went a little higher, halted down, haven't traded it since. So kind of just traded the early part. I guess I left a little money on the table, but $932 with small size isn't bad, and it gets me back up to $2,000 on the day. So, all's well that ends well here today. It's a green day. I could feel good about that. I'll say that I'm a little disappointed that momentum was so slow, but it is what it is. Now, something that's interesting is that SDST makes this move, and then CETU makes, what you could argue is a little bit of a sympathy move. This is also a recent SPAC. So we look at the chart on this one, and it's going to take a second to load. My computer's just like running a little hot here. So this one I was a little more cautious on because it's still below 10. So insiders are still red. On the one hand, you'd say, well, insiders are red, so they're probably not going to sell if they're in the red. But, it was down 60% almost. So now coming back up, you could have some insiders selling. Once it gets into profit and you're at blue sky, that's when it feels like it gets more exciting. So anyway, so no trades on that one for me. It did go from 6 to 10 and back down, but I didn't trade that one. Other lower price stocks, APVO, this one definitely got some attention today. So there's some momentum on the cheaper names. That's always, good to see, good to be aware of, but no trades there for me. PAPL got a trade on this. I think it was yesterday. And anyways, locked that one up yesterday. Didn't go back for it today. And I'm trying to think, I feel like there's one that I'm missing. I've got the running up scanner up here right now. This is a new scan that we've been developing at Warrior. So this is going to spot stocks that are moving quickly, sometimes before they hit their highs, which is a nice scan to keep an eye on. So this one I've had running here, and it was helpful today. PAPL, right, Pineapple Financial. Thank you, LGVN. So LGVN, this is one today that put in a big squeeze here. And I said, you know what, guys, I'm not touching it. The reason is it was thickly traded the last couple times we tried trading it. It's below the 200. I just felt like this was going to be a grinder. It was going to be hard to trade, and I just didn't want to push it. So didn't touch LGVN. It did end up making a move. Honestly, I don't really feel like... Oh, and by the way, Kenny, the running up scanner is available. If you go to your menu, you have access to it. So you can go to the tools. We've released it, so it's in production. It was beta testing, but now it's released. So anyways, it's right there. But so yeah, what was I starting to say? Well, yeah, I guess today the issue was just sort of that I just didn't have a big cushion. I got myself a little bit into the red. I was grateful to recover, get back into the green, but there wasn't a lot moving. And I don't feel like I left a lot on the table. I don't feel like I missed a lot. In fact, I could have walked away earlier, and I would have walked away with more money than I have right now if I'd walked sooner. Now, granted, I would have missed SDST. And I saw some people who were trading SDST were in the red and were trading it to try to recoup losses. So, they had gone red on other things from earlier in the day, whatever. So like, sometimes I feel like if I walk away, I'm just missing out on anything that moves later, but you're also missing out on losses. And, of course, you do want to miss out on the losses. So, that's kind of it's what we're always thinking about. You want to maximize the profit and trade as long as you're going to continue to make money, but you don't want to give back and overstay your welcome. And so I think on the one hand, an easy way to do it is to be kind of fixed about it, which is to say, I walk away at 12 noon every day and that's that. Doesn't matter what happens after. That's not a bad way to think of it, especially because it's important to do other things than just sit in front of a computer all day long. But today I ended up having to be in front of the computer. I had a lot of stuff I needed to get done. And so while I was here, I sort of had an eye on charts. I saw some things moving and ended up, getting a little piece of this action. So I'm happy with that, but I am hopeful that maybe tomorrow, especially pre-market, I'll see some stocks that are a little cleaner and give me a nice cushion. And then I might feel better walking away a little earlier too, because it's like, I've done a good job. I can walk away feeling good. Today, I don't think I was feeling quite as good. I knew that I'd had a lot of commissions and I had given back half my profit, and I never hit the daily goal. So, but yeah. So let's see. NAAS, this one's holding up fairly nicely here. Let's see. What am I looking for? Yeah, I have a new scanner. I don't have access to it yet. I know we're testing it. I have someone who's working on it and helping me with it. So anyways, we do have another scan that's going to come out here soon that I think NAAS is on probably. But anyways, just kind of looking at stocks that are closing strong. And I think that's a good idea just to watch to see what's closing strong and what could be interesting, going into after hours or potentially pre-market tomorrow. So I don't have right now a strong watch list for tomorrow, but NAS, if it holds up, could be interesting. We still have an hour to the close, so there's definitely still time. CETU, sort of doubtful, but could be interesting. SDST, I think it's going to be too expensive for most traders. They're just going to look at that and look at the spreads, which right now you could see are like 40 cents, 35 cents. I think a lot of people are just going to say, nope, I can't touch that. It's too risky. And you're not wrong. I mean, the area where I typically do better is in more of the, under $20 price range and even under 15. When we start getting higher price, that's when things can get tricky. So, all right, well, I'll leave it at that. So yeah, overall today, a little choppy, but finishing in the green, grateful for that. And got to be careful tomorrow though, because today was a little bit of a close call, right? So probably time to bring share size back down just a little bit. So I had increased my share size today, and actually in the last couple trading sessions, I had my cap at 5,000 for the last couple of, for the last couple of months. I think it was at 5,000 share cap until I made my first $1,000. I increased it to 7,500 shares until I made the first 1,000. And of course I was hitting that sometimes in the first trade. So I've been trading with more size in the last couple weeks because the market has called for it. But I think it's time to scale back down a little bit. So I'm going to scale it back down to 5K max size until I'm up over 1,000 tomorrow. And look, if I hit 1,000 on the first trade, then okay, that's great. I can take that cap off and be aggressive for the rest of the day. But I want to try to avoid big red days because that's what can sometimes happen. You have a nice long hot streak and then boom, big red day. So I want to try to avoid that if I can. All right, so that's it. Thanks as always, you guys, for tuning in. And those who watch this on YouTube, I'll remind you as always that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you back here for my recap tomorrow.